Hello everyone. I'm proud to be a participant of the 5th Istanbul Carpet Conference. I'm happy to be with the İHİB family on this occasion. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Professor Şerife Atlıhan for being the guide to show me the way in the field of carpets and tapestry. Before I start talking about the fringes of Eastern Anatolian carpets, I'd like to discourse on the carpets and tapestry part. In general, we can say that they have common features. We can say that there are similarities in pattern, in material, and most commonly in color. Main reason of these similarities come from the major effect of being on the Silk Road, and at the same time, nomadic tribes playing between north and south surface the similar interactions, which I also witnessed when I lived there. Here, we see the similar structures. Right now, I'm joining you from Bitlis. I also lived in this area for years as well. I know the area little because I lived here, and also because the location of the research being here. This image is the first photo that I took years back. I put this one first because this is the first interaction of me with the fringes. When I showed these fringes to Professor Şerife Atlıhan, she told me that it shows the characteristics of the area, and after this, my story with fringes started. I'd seen this carpet during the internship in the weaving ateliers of rugs in 2013, and most of them are in the similar texture. These people are making the fringes in a watching way with the rugs already. Since a rough fringe is not going to be suited, they use the knotting as a technique. This is another example of a carpet from the same atelier. This time, they use the technique of single tying. This is an example of a tassel. Actually, this was a carpet that I seen in a coffee house in central Muş in 2013. I was impressed back then because of this pattern. Then I realized that similar fringes existed, even though the fringe parts are brown in East Anatolia in recent years. We still see fringes that are made from cotton yarn. Here there is a rug called charm fringe, which can be seen in East Anatolia and some other areas which has a different kind of fringe that can be counted as the favorable kind of fringe. There is an example of a carpet and a fringe from the same coffee house. Here, they left the fringes free, but to be able to stay strong, they pass strong a needle. Which part is the hooked needle part? Right here. And of course, they made the play weave from thick yarns, for it not to get loose. A photo that I took years back in Sakarya, when I start getting to know the carpets. It's weaved in Gölkör town, but belongs to Malazgirt region. When one part is the charm, the other part is left free. We can see that the part left free is broken into pieces. Actually, it's very important for fringes not to get messy. I benefited from the researches of Neriman Görgünay in 1969. This is an example of a fringe that she took in Doğu Beyazıt, Ağrı. The charm looks like a fringe, but because it is knitted with a monorail way, it can be a different structure. Again, another example of a fringe in central Kars, like the other areas. I'd like to pass these in a quicker way to be able to use the time correctly, so that I can begin the technical analyzing. This is another example of rug from Bitlis area that our lecturer Sultan Sökmen found. Meanwhile, I was researching the rugs and carpets of Muş Malazgirt region. I came across to a couple of similar examples, so interactions can be told. Another example of rugs. Here, we can see the detail of a carpet. What I realized here is that when the size of the carpet and the rug gets bigger, accordingly the fringes are getting wider. Because it is said that they increase the resistance. This is a charm knit fringe. When I asked about it, most people didn't know its name. But Sultanaja says it is a charm knit fringe in her book. In another couple of sources, the name is the same. So that's why I'm calling it a charm. Another example of a rug from the Turkish Islamic work. When we look at the rugs from Hakkari and Van, generally we see braided type, thinner fringes. Another carpet located in Malatya Museum, a floor carpet. In the sofa carpet, we see the fringes are made from the same material, brown wool and charmed shaped fringe braid. Now we see another braided type, another fringe example. We see so many similar carpets in Tunceli Çemişgezek. They are mostly similar, which means we see the type in the whole region of East Anatolia. Again in Malatya region, another Şavak carpet. When we go to the technical analysis soon, we will see how it's made. Another example of a rug from Iğdır. All of the thread warps and finishing braids, which we see as white, are made of cotton yarn. They usually use the white yarn to add color to the patterns. In Erzurum rugs, we see the fringes and they are also similar. In these visuals, there are not many fringe examples, but mostly the whole carpet. We see the fringes from a distance. Now it's time for the relationship between weaving and fringes. How is a fringe made? To show this, here is an example of a tapestry which I made before. How do you like it? Now, I will show you how it's done. First step is warp disentangling. You disentangle the warps on a weaving loom. Then build your fence and start weaving. The traditional way of weaving a tapestry is usually reversed, but if you wish, you can weave it normally, which is the way we use on carpets. The weaving continues and finishing touches are being made. When you finish the patterned field, put a finishing line, then take the string off the apical fence and slowly cut them in groups. Take them out from the loom as shown, this way or the other. This is how it looks when you take it out. We were cutting here just now. This is the first point that we started from, and here are the fringes that will become curly. We can cut from here, or there's another type of fringe you can do called silme fringe, which is made by twisting them around each other. This is the end product. Fringe and finishing braid technical inspection. Unfortunately, there are a couple of resources that haven't done a lot of research. It's similar, but we can still say it's lacking. The first example is a three-pieced prayer rug. It belongs to my grandmother. I've looked at it all my life, and I still have it. I chose this as the first example because it's rare. The fringes are a little bit simple made, like hair braids. You can see the draft I made on the right, another example of a prayer rug. In this region's prayer rugs, they usually have the fringes from under. We have them also here, but it's generally hidden. The fringes are here. This is an important implication for the direction. Here's an emerald fringe. This type of fringe is one of the most difficult to analyze between emerald fringes. We analyze it from the right and from the left. It doesn't matter which way you start it. The threads meet in the center while being winded around each other. This twisting thread is held at the side in the end. And then one comes from the left, the other comes from the right, and include this thread to get together. When you gather all the threads like that, you get an R-shaped angle. Very rare example of a fringe again. Here we see a weave and braid shape made with fringes. Looks like the one from before, but in this type, we form a triangular shape and then tie finally. Here it's braided, knotted, and cut. Very rare example. There are many different styled examples of it. Sometimes the front face is the back face, and vice versa. So it doesn't mean that every example is the same. As you can see, there is a structure of counterclockwise and continuous circles. When we go this way, we see this face, and from the back, it's another face. Example of a commonly used fringe, coming and going. In some examples, we will see the fringe turned around and left at this side. Here's another example. Under it, there is a prototype I made. This is what I was talking about earlier. One left, one right, one top, one under like before, but now we'll leave it like this with an angle to the center. Yes, one of the fringes that I was most curious about. It looks so complicated, but actually it has quite a simple structure. The threads go one over and one under as it can go. The tail is left there. Then you take a second thread and go this way or the other way. No such thing as turning. This one is also a very complicated looking yet simple way of braiding. I've seen this in so many tapestries and carpets. They left it with a single knot. Maybe they didn't want to bother. They knotted and left them in groups without needing any kind of braiding or rubbing. This is another type of knotting called back cross. It has an aesthetic by itself. We see the back cross here as a difference, made with Rose method. Here comes another example, very important for this song. The fringes are free, and here the fringes are hidden with some kind of fabric. We see the tail from earlier. Leaving this as is may cause problems for the rug. It may start raveling quite fast. We usually finish this kind of rug with silver fringe, like I told before. Again, some rugs are covered with fabric. Mostly they cover the torn pieces at the end. We can't call this a fringe because it doesn't even have a finishing braid. But I wanted to show you that this structure also exists. Thank you for listening.